Yo, what is up everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and in this video, I'm going to be going over a couple of trades I made in this Dynasty League. I would classify them more as win now trades because I think that this team is a contender, and this is my lineup as of week 6, so it's going to look a little bit different once I show you my team currently heading into week 8. But I just made a couple trades on this team that I think I needed to make to improve my roster so that it could be more of a contender. I covered up some weak spots, particularly at the quarterback position. I'll go over that later in this video. And in addition to like the win now aspect, I also traded for a tight end who might be a little bit devalued in your league, and you might want to take a look at trying to acquire, because I think long term he's going to be pretty good. And if you look at like any sort of like other experts, like they have him ranked highly in like dynasty formats. It's just that he's kind of behind a tight end currently, but you know, in like a year or two he might be something special. And he's had big games already. So with that being said, we're just going to quickly go over what my roster looked like before the trade. So again, this is my roster as of week 6 of the 2020 fantasy football season. So at quarterback, we were rocking Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins, Mitch Trubisky, and Tyrod Taylor. You can see why I needed a little bit of an addition there. Cam Newton got out to a hot start to the season, but even if he maintained his hot start, which he hasn't, I don't want Kirk Cousins to be my backup because he's just so inconsistent. Running backs are looking good though. We got Taylor, Sanders, Clyde, and James Conner. We have a couple of bench pieces here as well. You know, McKinnon, Gio as a handcuff for Mixon. McKissick is decent. This is a half PPR league. I should also say this is a 10-team league. I forgot to mention that. Half PPR. Justin Jackson's, you know, he's filling in for Eckler. So pretty good running backs, pretty good depth there. Wide receivers are looking very, very good. We got Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin. We drafted, where is he? Jerry Jeudy in the first round this year. Mike Williams, he's got potential. He's hit or miss though. MVS, Marvin Jones, even though he's been disappointing. I traded a 3rd-round pick for Marvin Jones in the during the rookie draft this year. Thought I was getting a steal, but that did not work out. And then tight ends are looking very good as well. We got George Kittle, best or second best fantasy tight end with Travis Kelce, Jonnu Smith, Hayden Hurst, Dalton Schultz. And then, I also forgot to mention when I was talking about my wide receivers and running backs, we got Tevin Coleman and Cortland Sutton on IR. So if they were healthy, that would help a lot. Tevin Coleman should be coming back. And we got Deebo Samuel on the taxi squad as well, another quality wide receiver who I just haven't needed yet, so I haven't promoted him. But I'll tell you what, if he was healthy this week, he's playing Seattle, I would probably activate him and use him because I'm dealing with some injuries right now and just bye weeks and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, so that's just kind of a little quick rundown of what my roster was looking like. So looking at this team, we can see I need a quarterback. That is my primary need. And I also noticed that, you know, I have a very good set of 4 running backs right here, and you only need to start 2 running backs. So I felt like I was able to trade away some sort of depth at running back and as well as tight end, because when you have George Kittle, you don't need Jonnu and Hayden Hurst really and Dalton Schultz. Like, you know, you can afford to trade one away. Don't just give them away, but you can afford to trade one away. So quarterback was really where I was struggling. Plus, you know, since George Kittle was my tight end, I also wanted to take a long-term approach to get someone who potentially could have some high upside compared to maybe where he's valued right now. So one player that I wanted to sell was running back for the 49ers, Jerick McKinnon. Now, this is not the main trade that I'm going to be talking about in this video, but this is just to show you how I acquired Jerick McKinnon. I had to trade just a 4th-round pick for him on March 29th, and he was definitely worth that. He was very devalued coming off of a couple seasons where he was injured and missed a lot of time. But to start this 2020 season, he started very, very hot. He had 1 touchdown in each of his first 4 games. You see his fantasy points right there. And then Raheem Mostert getting hurt. I believe it was in week 2. He missed weeks 3 and 4. That really helped his value as well. Mostert did come back in week 5, and you saw Jerick McKinnon's value take a big dip. And then week 6, Raheem Mostert got hurt again. But the difference in that game was that once he got hurt, they were feeding JaMycal Hasty a little bit, and they weren't really giving McKinnon that type of workload. So right then and there, I was like, okay, you know, Mostert is hurt again. McKinnon is what? He's 28? He's 28 years old. That is old for a running back. He has been a little bit injury prone the last couple years. This could be a guy that I could sell for maybe higher value than what I think he's actually worth. And I'll go over what I ended up selling him for in a little bit, but you guys can see that that probably was the right call, because the following week, week 7 against the Patriots, he had 3 rushes for -1 yards and no catches. So he had negative fantasy points. And I'm not saying that he won't have better games because, I mean, Shanahan, the coach of the 49ers, said that it was like a rest game. You know, is that coach speak? Was it legit? I don't know. But regardless, I traded him. I involved him in a package trade. And here is the trade right here. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to see. It's hard to look at on this website, but this is the best we got. So I ended up trading for Matt Ryan. And what I gave up for him was McKinnon, Kirk Cousins, and a 2021 third round pick. So already I have upgraded at quarterback tremendously. Matt Ryan, he's a little bit older. That's why I kind of said it was a win now trade, but Jerick McKinnon is also a 28-year-old running back, a third round pick. I mean, that's just what I had to put in to get the trade done. And Cousins, I mean, he's 32. He's also pretty old, and he's much less consistent than Matt Ryan. Even though Matt Ryan has had some bad games this year, whenever Julio has been playing, he's been pretty good. You see, he had a 3-week stretch where he was very bad, but other than that, he's been pretty solid to great. As you see, he had a 31-point game against Minnesota Skull Vikings. But yeah, so I acquired a new starting quarterback to pair with Cam Newton, but that wasn't the only trade that we made. So we're gonna go back to this little screen over here and take a look at my week 7 roster after I made that trade. In actuality, there really is nothing to look at that is different from week 6. The only difference is that McKinnon and Cousins are off of the team along with my third round pick, and we got Matt Ryan on the roster. And I did not choose to start Cam Newton over Matt Ryan. We just did not get the trade done in time. We kind of got it done like mid-game, so that's why I was not able to start Matt Ryan. And you can see Cam Newton had about as bad of a game as you could have with negative 0.18 fantasy points. So yeah, that's the first trade of the video. Now we're going to get into the second trade. So there's a team in this league that has, at quarterback, they have Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, and they also have Carson Wentz. So they have quite a bit of quarterback depth. And also to note about this team is that the rest of their roster really is not that good. So I thought this could be a good team to trade for a quarterback because they need help at other positions. They need some draft picks, all that good stuff. So the next trade that I made was for Tom Brady, who is also, as we know, a little bit on the older side, to say the least. He's 43 years old, but he's been on a tear lately. He has had a couple of bad games here and there, 8, 14, 14, but other than that, he's been very, very good. And this is after the news that they were getting Antonio Brown. If he stays on the team and doesn't cause a problem and stays on the roster for the whole season, he will do nothing but help Tom Brady. But that isn't even the main part of this trade. We also were able to trade for Dallas Goedert, who is the tight end that I was talking about earlier in the video, who might be a little bit devalued because he's been injured. Zach Ertz is their starting tight end, but Dallas Goedert was drafted very, very high. It looks like he was drafted in the second round in 2018, and Zach Ertz has been playing very, very poorly. It looks like Ertz's career might not be lasting that much longer, unless he's dealing with an injury that we just don't know about, and that's why he hasn't been producing very much. But if and when Zach Ertz is not on the team anymore, Goedert should be a very, very good tight end. He's young. He's only 25. And even with Zach Ertz on the team, Goedert is pretty much like a low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2 on any given week, just because the tight end position is not that great. And I also, so what I had to get rid of to acquire Tom Brady and Dallas Goedert was I gave them Hayden Hurst, who Hayden Hurst is actually, I said this is a win now trade, but Hayden Hurst is probably more relevant right now in this moment because he's actually healthy. And, he's the starting tight end for the Falcons. His target volume hasn't been crazy. It's kind of inconsistent. He has a couple high target games, a couple low target games, but, he's been solid. So I got rid of him. He's a little bit older at 27, nothing too old. Goddard's 25 though, so he's a little bit younger. So I was like, I'll get rid of Hayden Hurst, who I think in the short term has some value, for a guy in Dallas Goedert who has a lot of long-term value. And I feel like a lot of people would view Hurst and Goedert as sort of equal, but I just love Goddard's long-term upside. And then I also gave him a second-round pick and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So I think this was pretty much a win-win trade for both of us because he still has Kyler Murray and Carson Wentz. I did want to trade for Kyler Murray, but I knew that would sort of cost a lot of draft capital and players, And for the guy that I traded with, for his team, Kyler Murray is probably a guy that he wants to build around because he's just so young and he's like the #1 quarterback in fantasy right now, I'm pretty sure. And he has that rushing upside and a great offense. So I just decided to target Tom Brady because he's a little bit older. I figured he would be more acquirable. And he was, and like I said, this was a win-win trade because I got the quarterback that I need. He's still very, very strong at quarterback. He got a tight end. I got a tight end. We just kind of did a little swap ski right there. And then he got a little bit of a depth piece with MVS. He's nothing too special, but that's a guy that he could start because his roster is really not looking that great. So any given week, MVS could start for him. And he does have, week to week upside and downside, but he's just, a depth piece. We'll just say that. And then a 2nd-round pick in the upcoming draft, in the rookie draft, that will help him out tremendously because he needs some talent on his team. So yeah, we'll just take a look at my team and what it is looking like right now. So we got to go to week 8. There we go. So now our team is looking a little bit better in my opinion. We have Tom Brady and Matt Ryan at quarterback. That's a lot better than just Cam Newton and like Kirk Cousins. We still do have Cam Newton as our quarterback 3 instead of our quarterback 1. At tight end, we're still going to be starting George Kittle, but I still love my tight end depth. We still have Jonnu Smith as like an immediate backup while Dallas Goedert is injured. And then once Dallas Goedert is back healthy, him and Jonnu Smith will sort of be my backup tight ends. And long term, if Zach Ertz leaves the Eagles, I think Dallas Goedert will be one of the better tight ends in fantasy, unless he just flops for some reason. But he's been good even with Zach Ertz. So hopefully this trade will work out for all teams involved. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video, guys. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on a couple trades I made in Dynasty, sort of give you guys what I was thinking when I made these trades. Kind of hopefully that can help you make some trades. Like in a 1-quarterback league, you don't want to go too ham on acquiring a quarterback. And I did include a 2nd-round draft pick in this trade. I wouldn't even, is Tom Brady worth a 2nd-round pick? If you really need a quarterback, maybe. If you looked at some sort of trade chart, it would probably say no because Tom Brady's so old. So he only has a couple seasons left, 1 or 2 maybe. Well, you never know with him, man. He could play for 10 more years. But I also got a guy in Dallas Goedert who I like long term. So that's why I love this trade, is because I got a short-term player in Tom Brady, but I also got a guy who I love, especially in Dynasty, because I think he could be good for many, many years to come. So yeah, enough rambling about this trade. That is going to do it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.